and welcome to Mac Irish. Today we will be doing something that I regret, an unboxing video. I'm not sure why these are so popular, but it's going to be an 18 to 140 milliliter Nikkor lens unboxing video. So this is the DX cropped frame Nikon lens, which gives you an aperture of 3.5 up to 5.6 maximum when fully zoomed. So let's take a look as we super zoom past all the good bits and enough bubble wrap to keep my family entertained for weeks. And inside, lo and behold, the surprise of the century, there is a box. Now I must say I do love the design of the Nikkor lenses boxes. And here we have a look close up, and you can see there that it is an autofocus lens, which is great. But for all you manual fanatics, there is that opportunity as well. Pay attention here to the filter attachment. The lens is quite big and is 67 millimeters. You don't get a hood or a case with it, unfortunately. So if you want to get rid of the glare, you will have to invest in a hood. And just be aware of that size, 67 millimeters, which is quite big. And here's the rest of it. It's a box. I don't know what you're expecting. And there's the underside of the box. Moving swiftly now to the opening of a box, and I'm glad so many of you could attend this ceremony for the opening of a box. And the first thing we find excitedly is the warranty. Now, I won't bore you with the details of this warranty, but needless to say, I just got on with it. And here is the lens itself. So the lens is being unwrapped, and I'm sure that was a climactic moment for all you unboxing freaks. But let's have a look at this lens. The lens goes from 18 right the way up to 140 millimeters. There's a manual focus ring here, and the top bit is a good rubbery section so you can securely and with good grip zoom in and out of the camera. Now it is a big lens, but thankfully it isn't a very long lens, so it's not very intrusive. Here's the back of it, the light that hits the sensor. As you can see, good clean glass on the F-mount. And here we have a manual. Who needs a manual for reading lenses? Well, apparently Nikon users do. Here is the rubberized grip, and you can see more details there about the focal lengths that you can get with this type of a lens. Made in Thailand as well, as it says. Now those distances don't really make much sense to me. Here's the cap on it, and as you can see there, 65 millimeters. It's a big one. So bear that in mind when you are buying your filters for this lens as well, okay? So onto the lens itself, and you can see that 67 millimeters is a huge size. And you can see there the 3.5 and the 5.6 G. It's an ED vibration reduction lens as well. And it goes from the very narrow angles of 18 right away up to 140. As you typically expect with a lens of this quality, you are going to be able to do vibration reduction, and you can switch it into manual mode quite easily by flicking that down. Then you can use the manual focus ring to your heart's content and zoom in and out. Now let's take a look at that all-important zoom. So there it is. And that's it, fully extended. Now you may be surprised by that, but that's all it takes really. So let's take a quick look at that. There it is, zoomed in all the way. The aperture will narrow to 5.6, which may be a bit of a deal for some of you who prefer to have as wide an aperture as possible, but overall this represented a very good value for money bargain for me as an all-rounder lens. I already had a 0 to 55 lens and an excessive 55 to 300 millimeters, but I was going to go beyond 55 quite a lot whilst not needing the 300 millimeters range, so that's why I plumbed for this. Now I'm going to go take my Nikon camera, the D5300, and take some shots. Now this is a night shot here that I've taken of the moon. It's a good close-up, and you can see there is very good detail from this lens, and it performs very well in low-light conditions. Now for myself, I was outside at night testing it. Now this provides a great testing environment for the lens because these shots are difficult to do. They provide a range of high contrasts with the darkness competing against the brightness in the pictures. It's also a good chance to see how good this lens is at picking up detail when it's needed. Now, as you can see from this next shot coming up here, I do manage to get a close-up of the church, and you can see here the detail is much better, and I'm able to capture the stained glass quite well, and the whole picture holds up quite well. And you can see here in this close-up now we have of a Buddha. I deliberately captured it this way to see how well the lens copes with the contrast in his dark face against the lit parts within the shop window. Now you will notice some noise at this level of low light, and yes, that's tolerable, but if you want to get rid of that, you might want to go for a lens with better range for your aperture. This is a lovely shot which shows the sort of tonal range and the colors you can get. It's very clear that this is a metallic surface of a Porsche. Although I didn't get to shoot this Porsche for very long, because as soon as I started, the Porsche was off speeding away in the distance, but I managed to capture it in this shutter exposure shot. This shot also shows how well the lens deals with long exposures, and it does a very good job of handling it. Overall, I was very impressed with the qualities of this lens, particularly in low light conditions. Here's a good example of a shot of a car, and this one is of a bike. And in general, I wasn't having any big problems with shooting in night photography. Although night photography is something I'm very comfortable at and getting better at, it is something that is quite tough and technical for a beginner. Now, this is a good example of the type of range. This is 18mm, and I'm right back, and I'm hoping to zoom in on the top right of that church window. Now, before I actually do the zoom in, I'm gonna actually show you a simulation of what that would look like. So, this is a simulation, and it's just a zooming in of the 18mm picture itself. The 18mm picture was fine and didn't have any chromatic aberration. So here I am zoomed in, and this is the level of zoom you can expect, and this is actually now the real zoom that I got. So you can see that it's done a very good job, again, of keeping a good level of light and preserving the detail there. So this is 140mm zoomed in. Now this terrible graphic that I concocted in iMovie shows the amount of area that you can expect to zoom in going from 18mm right into 140. And it's a pretty decent range. And for most people, that will be more than enough, except for some die-hard telescopic fans. Now here's the zoom itself in action. Now I must say, because I don't use zooms that much, the motion I made isn't exactly very smooth. So you may find this lens to be big and a bit strange, but you will get used to it very quickly. Here we have some video shots showing you how the low light handles in video. Now I must admit that video isn't one of my strong points in DSLR, and I haven't really adjusted any of the settings. I'm pretty sure I'm in manual setting here as well. So if the pictures come off as a little unflattering, that's probably why. Having said that, it's done a very reasonable job, even under these punishing conditions. And trying these shorter shots in daylight won't really tell you much. Now this man here is a legend, and I've made him famous, so I hope he appreciates his YouTube fame. And other people have just started to run away as I was taking their shots. This bike came out quite well, and as you can see, The general performance of the lens is very good in low light, and it manages to capture the textures of the road quite well too. The wheels and the lights. I'll finish with this shot of traffic moving here, and I'll let you make up your own mind about this lens, but I for one would thoroughly recommend it. From what I've seen so far, I would give it 5 stars. Considering the price, I think it's a great value lens. Thanks for watching. I'm Mac Irish. See you next time.